The battlefield was quiet now. Smoke still rose from the broken towers. The war between humans and the alien race called the Rayari had finally ended. Bodies of both sides lay across the ruined city. Commander Jalen, a brave and respected human soldier, walked through the ashes. He had seen many battles and lost many friends. But this one was the final war. The human flag now flew over the last Rayari stronghold. Victory was theirs. But then a call came from a scout. "Commander, we found one more," the voice said through the communicator. "Another enemy?" Jalen asked, tired but alert. "Yes, sir," the soldier replied, "but she's different." Jalen followed the soldier down a broken hallway. They reached a hidden room, once a royal chamber there. Sitting in the center was a girl, not a warrior, not a child. She looked about 20 with long silver hair and glowing blue eyes. She wore torn royal robes and her arms were tied. Around her neck was a symbol of power, the crest of the Rayari royal family. Jalen stepped closer, his boots echoing on the cracked floor. The girl looked up, not afraid. Her skin was pale, her face calm. She had no weapons, no armor, no soldiers, yet something about her made even the strongest warriors pause. "She's the last," the scout whispered. "The Princess of Rayari." Jalen raised his blade. It was the right thing to do. End the war completely. Leave no threat behind. He stepped forward, ready to strike. The princess didn't cry, didn't move. She only looked into his eyes, deep and steady. Then she spoke in a soft, almost broken voice. "Kill me, or claim me." Jalen froze, his grip on the blade trembled. "What did you say?" he asked. The other soldiers looked at each other, confused. The princess repeated slower this time. "Kill me, or claim me." No one moved. Even the wind seemed to stop. Claim her. What did that mean? Some of the younger soldiers whispered about old Rayari traditions, strange, ancient customs. Jalen stepped back, unsure. He had faced monsters, machines, and warlords. But this girl, this soft-spoken princess, made him hesitate. She did not blink. Her hands were still tied, but her spirit wasn't broken. "You must choose," she said. "If you kill me, the bloodline ends. If you claim me, you carry the burden." "What burden?" Jalen asked, voice low, but she didn't answer. She simply lowered her head, waiting. Jalen looked around. His soldiers wanted him to finish it. End the last threat, take no chances, but his heart said something else. She could have begged for her life, she didn't. She offered something else, something strange, ancient, and dangerous. One soldier whispered, "Sir, she's playing games." "She's stalling," another said. "She might be cursed, sir. These Rayari royals are known for tricks." But Jalen said nothing. He kept staring at her. Her body was weak, but her presence was powerful. He saw no fear in her eyes, only sadness and maybe something else, hope. The silence was heavy. Finally, Jalen lowered his blade. "Take her to the ship," he said. "We'll find out what she means, but sir," a soldier began. "That's an order," Jalen said firmly. They carried the princess away. Carefully, as they moved, she looked over her shoulder. Her eyes met Jalen's again, and for a brief moment, he felt something strange in his chest. Something warm, something sharp. He didn't know what it meant. He only knew one thing. This war might be over, but his story with the alien princess had just begun. The ship moved through space like a silent shadow. Inside, the alien princess sat alone in a cold holding cell. Her wrists were free now, but her mind was still locked. Commander Jalen stood outside the glass, arms crossed, eyes full of questions. He had not spoken to her since the battlefield, but her voice echoed in his head again and again. "Kill me, or claim me." The crew called her dangerous. Some believed she had mind powers. Others thought she was bait for a trap, but Jalen didn't feel danger from her. He felt something else, like she was important, but not in a normal way. "Commander," said his second-in-command, Sergeant Lin. "You can't trust her. She's royalty," Jalen replied. "She could be the key to peace, or the cause of another war," Lin said, shaking his head. That night, Jalen walked into her cell. No guards, no guns, just quiet. The princess looked up, calm as always. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. "You're not afraid," Jalen said, more like a statement than a question. "I've already lost everything," she whispered. "What did you mean when you said, 'claim you'?" he asked, sitting across from her. She took a deep breath. "It's part of our ancient law," she said, voice soft but clear. A Rayari royal may pass her bloodline only once. By death. Or by bond, Jalen frowned. What kind of bond? A soul bond, she said. If you claim me, you inherit all that I am. My pain, my powers, my memories. It's not a gift, human, she added, eyes sharp now. It's a curse, he leaned forward slightly. Why would you offer that to an enemy? Because I was never the enemy, she replied. My parents feared me. My power was growing too fast. They locked me away, called me cursed, and sent me to die in that final battle. But when you looked into my eyes, she added, her voice trembling now, you didn't see a monster. Jalen was quiet. The silence stretched long, then he asked, what happens if I don't claim you? I die, she said. My soul is bound to someone now. If the bond isn't completed, it fades. He stood up, confused, angry. This sounds like magic. This sounds like something from your side's myths. You think your world is free of myths? She asked with a weak smile. You fly through stars in metal ships, and you still fear what you can't see. Jalen walked out without another word. But that night the dreams began. He saw her face, felt her fear. He saw a tall Rayari king shouting at her. Felt the sting of punishment. He woke up sweating, heart racing. She was in his mind. Somehow a part of her had already reached inside him. The next day he went to the library module of the ship, accessed the ancient war files, found a report about a Rayari queen named Zyla. The last soul-bonded royal. Her human partner had gone mad within weeks. Voices, visions, and then death. But some said he had moments of great power, moments when he could stop time, heal wounds, or hear thoughts. Madness. Or evolution? The report asked. Jalen closed the file, hands shaking. She had told the truth. Later he entered her cell again. This time he carried no questions, only silence. You saw it, didn't you? She asked gently. I felt your fear. Jalen sat down, eyes hard. If I do this, he said, what happens to me? You'll feel everything I feel, she whispered, pain, joy, fear, anger. You'll see my past and maybe your future, and if I walk away, then both of us die, she said, but you die slowly. I fade, and you'll feel that pain day by day. Like ice in your blood, he stood again, breath unsteady. This was not a choice between war and peace. This was a choice between power and pain, between truth and fear. Why me? He finally asked. She looked into his eyes and said, because you didn't look at me like a weapon. You looked at me like a person. He left the room once more. But this time he wasn't running from her. He was running from the answer already forming inside his heart. The stars outside the ship seemed quieter than usual. Commander Jalen stood alone in the observation deck. He didn't blink, didn't move. He was thinking about her. That alien princess, that strange, calm girl with glowing blue eyes, the last of her kind. And somehow, part of him now, every night since he met her, his dreams had changed. He saw flashes of her past. He saw her locked in a glass room, her fists bleeding from pounding the walls. He heard her scream in a language he didn't understand. He felt her loneliness, and when he woke up, it stayed with him, like a shadow stitched to his soul. The ship's AI voice spoke softly. Commander, the archive report you requested is ready. He walked to the console and opened the file. More Rayari history, more hidden truths. He found a word he hadn't seen before. Zhilktar. It meant soul carrier in the old Rayari language. There were only 6 Zhilktar in Rayari history, each one linked to a powerful human. Each story ended in tragedy. Some went mad, some vanished. One even exploded during a psychic overload. Jalen leaned back and closed his eyes. Is this what she wanted him to become? A burning man with voices in his head and no way out? He left the console and headed straight to her cell. She stood before him, her hands behind her back. She didn't look surprised. She had felt him coming. You've read about the curse, she said softly. Yes, Jalen replied. And every story ends badly. The princess didn't blink. Our bond is already forming, she whispered. You feel my pain? Jalen clenched his fists. I saw your past, he said. I saw how they treated you. I was born with power I couldn't control, she said, her voice trembling now. My father feared I would destroy our kind. So he hid me away and told the world I was dead. I was 12. Jalen looked away. This wasn't just some alien trick. She was broken, abandoned, and cursed by her own people. If I complete the claim, he asked, will I lose myself? No, she said. You will become more. But not all humans can survive it. Jalen stared at her. Then why give me the choice? Because I saw your eyes, she said, stepping closer. You fight not because you love war, but because you hate injustice. He looked at her hand, stretched toward him. So what happens if I take your hand right now? We'll finish the bond, she said, and I won't be alone anymore. But the voices will begin. Voices? He asked. Every past Jilktar lives inside me, she said. If you link with me, you'll hear them too. She paused, then added, and they'll hear you. Jalen backed away. This wasn't just a connection. It was emerging, every thought, every secret shared. You said I'd feel your pain, he muttered. Does that mean if you die, I die too? Yes, she said, but not just die, fade. It will be like dissolving slowly, until nothing is left. Jalen paced, heart racing. I'm not ready to lose myself, he said. You won't lose yourself, she replied. You'll become both of us. Jalen slammed his hand on the wall. I don't want to become something else. The princess flinched, but didn't step back. You already are, she said softly. You think your dreams are normal? You think the fire in your chest is just stress? You're changing, Jalen. He froze. The last dream he had wasn't just memory. It had emotion, taste, sound. It wasn't hers, it was his too. He remembered the smell of burning silver, the taste of blood, and her tears they had felt like his own. You're scared, she said, voice like a whisper. So am I. He looked at her. Really looked. For the first time he saw more than glowing eyes and alien skin. He saw someone trying to survive just like him. I'm not a hero, Jalen said. I'm not asking for a hero, she replied. I'm asking for a choice. Jalen stepped forward slowly. He reached out, but didn't touch her hand. Not yet. I need more time, he said. You don't have much, she whispered. The bond is already halfway. If you don't complete it soon, it will collapse and we'll both go mad. Jalen turned and left again, but her voice followed him, echoing inside his mind, like a soft fire in the dark. If you claim me, you carry the curse. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But one thing was certain. He was no longer alone. And whether he wanted it or not, the bond had already begun. The ship drifted through the outer edge of Sector 9. Dark space all around, cold and endless, but inside the ship, something powerful was about to happen. Something ancient, forbidden, and alive. Commander Jalen stood in front of the Rayari princess again. This time he wasn't angry or confused. He was ready. Her eyes searched his face. You've decided, she said. Calm but hopeful. Yes, Jalen replied. I will complete the bond. She didn't smile. She only lowered her head gently. This cannot be undone, she whispered. Once it begins, there is no escape. I'm already halfway there, he said. I dream what you dream. I feel your fear. I can't walk away now. She reached out her hand, but this time it was glowing faintly. Silver lines moved like rivers across her skin. The bond must be completed under the Rayari moonlight, she said. There is a chamber on this ship deep below. With the right crystal alignment, Jalen nodded. I'll meet you there in 1 hour. He left the room, heart pounding like drums in his chest. He wasn't sure if this was bravery or something else, but he knew one thing. He couldn't let her fade. Meanwhile, the crew was growing restless. Sergeant Lin watched Jalen closely. He had seen the change in his commander. More silence, strange words in his sleep. Glowing marks on his hands. Something is wrong with him, Lin said to a guard. This alien girl has infected him. She's playing with his mind in secret. Lin sent a signal, a call to the Iron Shield, a rogue human faction that hated all Rayari. Target found, he said in the message. She's still alive. Back in the lower chamber, the princess stood in a circle of soft blue light. The walls were covered in ancient symbols glowing with quiet energy. She had placed her hands on the crystal stones, whispering words in her native tongue. Jalen entered slowly, his boots echoing in the silence. He looked around, breath caught in his throat. This is older than your ship, she said without turning. It was hidden inside when your people captured one of ours. Jalen stepped inside the circle. The crystals glowed brighter. The light touched his skin. It burned, but it also calmed him. The bond will begin when you speak your truth, she said, and offer your will. What if I don't know who I am anymore? He asked. Then speak what you fear, she answered. He closed his eyes. I fear I'll lose myself, he said. But I fear losing you more. The crystals flared. She stepped forward, placing her hand over his heart. "I accept your truth," she whispered. "I give you my soul." Then everything trembled. A strange energy wrapped around them like vines of light. Their eyes glowed the same color now. Then boom, the wall exploded. Fire and smoke rushing through the chamber. The lights shattered, alarms screamed. Jalen pushed the princess to the floor, covering her with his body. From the smoke came shadows, attackers. "Heavily armed, human, and merciless, take the alien," someone shouted. "Kill the commander if he resists." Jalen rolled, pulled his sidearm, and fired. 2 attackers fell, but more entered. The princess screamed, not in fear, but in rage. Blue light burst from her chest. Throwing 3 men across the room, "Get her out," the lead soldier shouted. They fired stun charges, one of them hitting Jalen in the back. He groaned, falling to one knee. "Leave him," one attacker shouted. "She's the target." They grabbed the princess, dragging her toward the exit. "No!" Jalen shouted. He reached out and something snapped inside him. A burst of energy exploded from his palm, hitting the attacker's arm, burning it black. Everyone froze. Jalen looked at his hand. It was glowing. The princess stared at him, hope and horror in her eyes. "The bond started," she whispered, even unfinished. "It gave you power, but it wasn't enough." The attackers ran, taking her with them. Jalen tried to follow but collapsed, still weak from the partial link. Her voice echoed in his mind even as she was pulled away. "Don't let them complete my death," he screamed. But no sound came from his throat. Only silence and pain. The door slammed shut, leaving him in the dark. His heart beat fast. His soul ached. She was gone, and the bond between them was still alive. The stars outside looked cold, but inside the medical bay, Jalen burned with fever. Sweat dripped down his face, his skin glowing faintly under the dim lights. His heart beat louder than the machines around him. The bond, though incomplete, was still alive inside him, and it was growing. The ship's doctor stood near his bed, confused. "He's not sick, but something inside him is changing," she whispered to herself. Jalen's muscles tensed as another wave of memory crashed over him. But it wasn't his memory. He saw the princess again, young, scared, locked in a cold chamber, guards shouting, her own father turning his back. He felt her fear like it was his own. When he opened his eyes, he gasped for air. "She's still alive," he said. Voice weak but sure, Dr. Vera blinked. "How do you know that?" "I feel her," Jalen whispered. "She's in pain, but alive." Meanwhile, far away, the princess lay on the cold floor of a dark metal cell. She was chained again, but her heart beat stronger than before. Her mind touched Jalen's even across the distance. The bond had begun a life of its own. One of her captors noticed her eyes glowing. "She's reacting to something," he said nervously. "She's sinking," another replied. "If the bond completes from this distance, he'll come for her." The leader of the rogue group stepped forward. "Then we finish it before he does," he said coldly. "Prepare the separation ritual." Back on the ship, Jalen struggled to stand. "I have to go after her," he said, grabbing his gear. "You can barely walk," said Dr. Vera. "If I wait, she dies," he replied. "Or worse, the bond is ripped apart." Sergeant Lin stepped into the room, guilt in his eyes. "I didn't know they'd take her," he said quietly. "I just wanted her locked up, not stolen." Jalen didn't respond with anger. He only nodded. "We still have time to fix this, with Lin's help." Jalen traced the energy signal from the explosion. A stolen escape pod left a faint trail. They followed it to an old mining planet, Vorn 7, a dead place with no laws and no mercy. As they approached the surface, Jalen's heartbeat synced with hers again. This time he heard her voice clearly in his head. "They're going to break the bond," she whispered. "They say it will kill me softly. I'm coming," he replied in his thoughts. "Don't give up." On Vorn 7, the rogue humans prepared the machine. Old tech mixed with alien parts, the separation ritual was dangerous. It would tear the bond apart forcefully, and anything alive caught in the middle would shatter. "She's getting hotter," one technician said, wiping sweat from his brow. "She's resisting the link tear. She won't survive it," said the leader. "That's the point." But they didn't know Jalen was changing. On the ship, his eyes flashed with silver light. The same patterns from her skin now ran across his arms. He felt stronger, faster, and somehow wiser. Her knowledge was becoming his. Her memories had started living inside him. He whispered a Rayari word without knowing its meaning. The ship's engines responded like they understood him. Sergeant Lin looked shocked. "That's not possible," he said. Jalen didn't reply. He was already focused on the landing coordinates. They landed quietly in the middle of a storm. 4 and 7 skies were always dark. Jalen stepped out without fear. Every step felt like it belonged to someone greater than himself. In the distance, the rogue base stood hidden inside the cliffs. Jalen moved through shadows, heart glowing like a beacon as he got closer. The princess gasped in her cell. "He's near," she whispered. "They're too late." The machine powered up. Loud and violent. "No more time," the leader shouted. "Begin the separation." The moment they touched the control panel, the ground shook. The door exploded open. Jalen walked in, eyes glowing, hands crackling with energy. The rogue soldiers aimed their weapons, fired. But the bullets melted in the air before reaching him. He raised one hand and the machine sparked, shutting down one by one. "Stop it," he said, his voice deeper, echoed by hers through the bond. They stared at him like he was a god. "What are you?" one man whispered. Jalen stepped closer to the princess. Chains snapped apart without his touch. He reached out his hand. She took it without hesitation. And at that moment, the bond completed itself. Without ceremony, without words, just touch, trust, and truth. They both glowed as one. She stood taller, stronger, her fear gone. He stood beside her, more than human now. And when she looked into his eyes, she whispered, "You came." He nodded once. "I told you," he said, "I feel you, but the peace would not last." Not with what the bond had just awakened. The return to the command ship was not silent. Jalen stood tall at the entrance bay, his armor burned, his eyes still glowing with Rayari light. Beside him walked the alien princess. Her steps soft, but her presence undeniable. Every soldier turned to stare, some in fear, some in confusion, and a few in awe. Word had already spread. The commander had bonded with the alien princess. The last of the enemy's bloodline now walked freely aboard a human warship. An emergency tribunal was called at once. The highest-ranking officers in the fleet gathered in the central court. Jalen stood alone before them, his hands behind his back, calm and focused. She remained outside the chamber, waiting in silence. "Commander Jalen," barked Admiral Vass, a stern old man with sharp eyes. "You left your post, disobeyed orders, and allowed an alien to manipulate your mind." "I followed my instincts," Jalen replied. "She was not the enemy." "Then what is she?" asked another officer. "She's the key to peace," Jalen said, "and I chose to protect her." The room buzzed with whispers. "She is Rayari," shouted a female general. "Her people killed thousands of ours." "She was their prisoner too," Jalen said, voice firm. "She was locked away by her own kind because she was different. She never fought us. She was sacrificed by her own family." "But you let her into your mind," someone growled. "You let her inside your soul?" Jalen nodded slowly. "Yes," he said, "and I saw the truth." The tribunal fell silent. His eyes still shimmered faintly. Half human, half something else. "She risked her life to save mine," he continued. "When we were attacked, she protected me. Even after I threatened her life, she could have run. But she didn't." "And what of the bond?" asked Admiral Vass. "What exactly have you become?" Jalen hesitated. "I don't know," he admitted. "I feel stronger, but also more aware. I see things I couldn't before, feel things I never noticed." "You are compromised," another general said. "You are not the man we trained." "I'm not," Jalen agreed. "I'm something more." They stared at him like he was a stranger. He didn't flinch. Outside the chamber, the princess stood still, her eyes closed, but her heart raced. She could feel his emotions, fear, strength, loyalty, and something else, love, soft and uncertain, like the first drop of rain after a long drought. Suddenly the doors opened. The admiral spoke to the guards. "Bring her in." The princess entered. Her chin lifted, her body glowing softly. Some officers stepped back. Some reached for their weapons. She didn't blink. "You are the last of your kind," the admiral said to her. "What do you want?" She looked at Jalen, then at the tribunal. "I want peace," she said quietly. "I want my life to mean something. I want to stop the chain of death." Easy words. One general replied. "Hard to trust from a race that turned our colonies to ash." "I was not part of that war," she said. "I was locked in a cell when the bombs fell." The admiral turned to Jalen. "You bonded with her, but you're still human. You can fix this, end the link. Walk away and we'll forgive your disobedience." The room went quiet. Even the hum of the lights seemed to fade. Jalen turned toward the princess. She didn't beg, she didn't speak, but her eyes said everything. She was ready to accept his choice, even if it broke her. Jalen stepped forward. "I will not end the bond," he said. Gasps echoed around the court. "I choose her," he said clearly. "She is part of me now. And if we destroy every chance to understand each other, then we are no better than those who started the war." Admiral Vass clenched his jaw. "This is dangerous," he said. "You're crossing a line no human has crossed before." "Then maybe it's time someone did," Jalen said. Silence, no one dared move, no one knew what to say. Then finally, the Admiral spoke again. "You have 72 hours, he said. "Prove that she is not a threat, or we take her from you, by force." Jalen nodded. "I won't fail." He turned and walked out. The princess followed, but as they left the chamber, she leaned close and whispered, "You risked everything." "I know," he said softly, "and I'd do it again." She took his hand, this time not as part of the bond, but simply to hold it outside. The stars still watched in silence, but something had shifted. The war was no longer about planets or weapons. It was now about two souls tied together, trying to change a galaxy, and time was running out. The ship moved slowly through deep space. Time was short, and every second felt like a breath held too long. Jalen and the princess had only 72 hours. The tribunal had spoken. Show proof of peace, or lose everything. But how do you prove something like trust? How do you show that two broken souls can fix what generations had destroyed? They stood together in the meditation chamber. Their hands touched, but something still remained incomplete. "The bond is still growing," she said softly. "It was born in chaos and tied by fear. Then how do we finish it?" Jalen asked. "We complete it by choice," she replied. "Not by need." He looked into her eyes, and for the first time he saw her. Not as a Rayari princess, not as a weapon, but as someone who carried pain like he did. Someone who just wanted to be seen. "Then let's finish it," he said. She nodded. And together they stepped into the core chamber. The center of the ship had been rebuilt to match the Rayari bonding chamber from her memories. Crystals floated in the air, glowing with soft blue light. Ancient words shimmered across the floor in patterns only she could read. "Stand with me," she said. Jalen stepped into the circle. The light touched his skin, and this time it welcomed him. It no longer burned, it embraced. The bond flared between them like a thread of fire. Her heartbeat echoed in his chest, his breath became hers. She whispered the sacred words, her voice shaking. "I give you what I am, my memory, my soul. My fate," Jalen spoke the same, slow but steady. "I take what you are, not to own but to protect, to share. To grow." Light burst around them, pure. Silent, endless, their bodies floated as one, wrapped in a cocoon of shimmering light. The ship trembled, but not from danger. It was the feeling of something being rewritten in the air itself. Outside the chamber, the crew gathered in silence. No one spoke, not even Lynn. They watched the core pulses on the screens rise and fall like a living heart. Inside, the transformation was almost complete. Memories flooded through Jalen's mind. Her childhood, her fears, her hopes, her exile. But now they mixed with his own, his battles. His doubts, his loneliness, two minds, two hearts. No longer separate. When the light faded, they stood still, holding hands, but something had changed. Jalen's eyes now carried a glow, not just light, but clarity. He heard the hum of the stars, the whisper of time, and the princess, no longer just a girl hiding behind royal fear, stood with calm strength. They walked out into the main deck. The tribunal members waited, joined by a live holofeed connected to Earth. Admiral Vass stepped forward. "You had your chance," he said. "Have you come to surrender her?" Jalen looked around the room, then shook his head slowly. "I've come to show you something." He lifted his hand, and with a thought activated a star map. The lights shifted and danced, forming lines of energy between systems. "These are the hidden scars left by the war," he said. "They live inside her people's memory and now inside mine." The princess stepped forward. "But this bond also gave us something new," she said. "Understanding, connection. Strength not built from fear, but from unity." They moved together like mirrors. Speaking together, "We are proof that this war can end. Not with weapons, but with choice." The tribunal fell silent again. "You could be lying," a general said. Jalen nodded. "You're right," he said. "But you feel it, don't you? Even now the bond touches those around us." One officer suddenly dropped his weapon, eyes wide. "I felt something," he said, "like a memory that wasn't mine." "She's not invading you," Jalen said. "She's sharing." The room remained quiet. Then Admiral Vast looked at the princess. "What is your name?" he asked. She paused for a moment, then said softly, "My true name is Lyra Yen." He gave a small nod, then looked at Jalen. "Whatever you've become," he said, "you're not the same soldier who left this ship." "No," Jalen agreed. "I'm better." With a long breath, the Admiral turned to his officers. "Let history remember this day," he said. "The day a human did not conquer an alien, but chose to walk beside one." Cheers did not erupt, and no music played, but something had shifted quietly. Like the wind changing direction, a new era had begun. Later, alone under the stars, Jalen sat beside Lyra Yen. She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "No," he whispered. "You asked me to kill you or claim you. I chose something even harder." "What's that?" she asked with a soft smile. "I chose to believe in you, and in that moment, under the cold stars, a human and a Rayari, bound by choice, became the beginning of a legend that would echo across galaxies, not as enemies, not as monsters, but as the first of something new.